Good evening, gentlemen. It's time for the weekly podcast, or whatever you want to call this piece of crap. Anyhow, lots of doings going on this week into the playoffs, so we'll just get right into things. Big week, a lot of action, a little bit of activity on the old waiver wire because those of you that made the playoffs don't know what that is. Got one more transaction, so if we look here, Brad cut Brandon Oliver. He added Javaris Landry, wide receiver for Miami. Jonesy added Kenny Stills. He cut Allen Hurns. Not quite sure why, but Jonesy felt the need to make a move there. Let's see if that benefited Jonesy by making that move as we look at the old scoreboard. So for Brad and Jonesy, this game here is full of trash talk. Jonesy being a devout Kentucky follower and had to run his mouth as most Kentuckians do. And then Brad, of course, with his rebuttal all the time. So it was a pretty interesting battle on the message board if you took the time to read it. So Jonesy had a terrible week. Peyton Manning only scored 5 points. This is the first time I can recall in a long time where Peyton wasn't in double digits. Giovanni Bernard, terrible week for him, only 1 point. Anderson for Denver stepped it up, though, got him 25 big points. He had 3 TDs and 58 yards rushing. Andre Johnson only got him 2 points. Golden Tate, 5. Stills, his big transaction, only got him 1. And Vinatieri, 8. The Colts defense, 5. For Jonesy, it was a disastrous week because he only had 1 player in double figures. He mustered 25 points, which was a disaster. On his bench, Eli Manning would have scored better. Matt Prater would have done better at kicker. Broncos defense would have done better. But being Jonesy's a homer, he stuck with Manning because he used to be a Colt. He stuck with the Colts kicker, Vinatieri, the Colts defense. And it comes back to bite him full fold in the keister because if most good fantasy owners know, you don't play a homer. You may have a favorite team, but when it comes to fantasy, you don't look at the team they're on. You look at the numbers they produce. As for Brad the commish, he's been one of the best when it comes to getting to the playoffs and winning in the playoffs. Matt Stafford, a great call there, scored 26 points there. Matt Forte, 11. Arian Foster, 16. Calvin Johnson, 19, finally blew up. Eddie Royal only got him a digit. Landry, his pickup, got him 6. Costanzo, his kicker, got him 9. And the Seahawks defense got him 7. Brad played about the best team he could put on the field. He couldn't have really made any big difference outside of maybe starting Roddy White over Landry or over Eddie Royal. But that was the only decision he could have made. Brad wins 95-52. Brad rolls on to the semifinals, to the divisional championship game. And we'll break down those matchups here shortly. As for the other game, was the most exciting one of the night. Bear with me as my computer catches up to me. The other game of the night was Greg and Fish. Greg having a season for the ages for him, and really had a lot going on. Fish was down late going into Monday night, needed a little bit of help, and almost got it. For Greg, sticking with Andy Dalton as always, 30 big points there. And Justin Forsett, 11. Lamar Miller, 5. Demaryius Thomas, 1. Emmanuel Sanders, 5. A.J. Green, 26. Dan Carpenter got him 5. Patriots defense got him 6. Total of 89. The only difference they could have made if he started Greg Olsen at one of his receiver spots would have got him 14. But other than that, Greg put about his best team on the field that they could. Greg in this case got away with the homer effect. Greg being a Bengal fan, he stuck with Dalton. He stuck with A.J. Green all the way to the top. and it's paid off for him. As for Fish, the man who practices the art of custodial engineering, Fish started Matt Ryan. He put up 29 points on Monday night. Fish was down by 30 some going into the night, and at the start of the game, the way it looked, I thought Fish is done. There's no way Matt Ryan's going to do that. But then they rally in the second half. One thing that killed Fish was Julio Jones caught a long pass at the start of the second half. Julio gets stopped on the 5. It would have been almost an 84-yard TD pass. Instead, it ends up being a 70-some-yard game for Julio Jones. And it would have gave Fish 4 extra bonus points, which would have made things a little bit more interesting for sure. And Jamal Charles, 23 points. Great week for him. Alfred Morris, 1. Brandon Marshall getting hurt didn't help any. 4 points out of him. Antonio Brown, 10 points. Couldn't find the end zone. Josh Gordon, only 1 point against the Colts. Didn't have a good week at all. Dan Bailey, 11. So a couple changes Fish could have made. If he starts Vincent Jackson, he wins. If he starts Vincent Jackson over Gordon, he wins easy. A pretty good week there for him. But it goes by way of Greg winning 89-83 a final. Greg goes on to the semifinals. And as we look towards the semifinals, it should be a good week. And then, I forgot to tell you about the worst of the best bracket. Chris, of course, beats me 76-64. Chad puts up 120 points, defeats Tony. So Tony and I will play as the worst of the worst. So we'll see who's the worst owner in the league. I can tell you who it is. And then Chris and Kurz will play for the best of the worst next week. You win a bag of corn nuts from the commissioner when you do that. As for the team, this week's tournament, we got number 1 seed, of course, Wade facing the number 4 and Brad. Dennis faces the number 6 seed and Greg. Right now, according to Flea Flicker, Brad and Wade they're projecting a 92-92 tie. As for Greg and Rickman, they're giving Greg the slight edge, 98-97. As for the best of the worst, Kurz and Chris, 99-93. We'll see what happens there. And then now the best of the worst, Tony will probably beat me to see who the worst of the worst is. So, as for Brad and Wade, Brad he's probably going to stick with Stafford this week. Forte he'll stick with. Arian Foster he'll stick with. Calvin Johnson he'll absolutely stick with. At his other receiver, I don't know who he'll go with there. We'll wait and see. Because he's got Eddie Royal there, but he's got Wes Welker, who's not been much anything. Roddy White's been putting up consistent numbers. They're projecting more out of him, so we'll see. Jamarcus Landry had a good week. They're at New England for Miami. I don't know who I'd play there. Costanzo, 4 points. Seahawks D, 6. I like Brad this week over Wade. For Wade, though, he does have the triple header of Rodgers, Nelson, and Cobb at receiving position. I did hear today Nelson caught his sixth TD pass of 40 yards or more last night, which just says something. So I think the problem for Wade here is that he's going to live and die by the Packers. They're going to be at Buffalo. It's about time for Rodgers to make it a pound and ground game where they go up early and they do nothing but run the ball in the second half. So it'll be tough, I think. Even though they're projecting big numbers for Rodgers, it's going to happen. So running back, LeGarrette Blount, DeMarco Murray, probably stick there. Rashad Jennings may not be a bad start this week against the Giants. We'll see. Anquan Bolden, his other receiver. He really doesn't have anybody else to play at receiver, so I'd stick with that. And then Gostkowski at kicker, Eagles defense, both very productive there. So I give the edge to Brad a little bit, but I agree with Flea Flicker. It is a coin toss of a game. this week for those two. So as for Greg and Dennis, for Greg, he's going to stick with Dalton. We know Justin Forsett against Jacksonville, which is huge. Lamar Miller's the other running back, 6 points. They're saying Jamil Hill for Cincinnati might be a better play this week. We'll see how that shakes out. I don't know. I haven't done too much research on that one. Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders at your receiving core. He's got Torrey Smith on the bench. May not be a bad call, or Delaney Walker. We'll see, but either or is a good one. He's going to stick with A.J. Green. Dan Carpenter, Buffalo against Green Bay. You know he's going to see a lot of kicks. And McManus, I don't know if McManus is even playing anymore. So, and then the Patriots D for Greg. So, as for Dennis, he had a great week to have a bye because Luck didn't have a very good week last week. So, he's going to start Luck at quarterback, LaShawn McCoy, Trey Mason. I like those running backs there. I wouldn't touch them a bit. Alshon Jeffrey, T.Y. Hilton, Calvin Benjamin, Sturgis, and the Cardinals defense. So I think, all in all, Rickman may consider putting in Amanda Dawson, Knott's boy Phil Dawson, at kicker, or he may consider putting the Bills defense in. But keep in mind, Rodgers hasn't thrown an interception in 16 weeks or something crazy like that now. So it'd be tough to pick that game. They're giving the edge to Greg. I think it'll be a tough one to see. Cincinnati at Cleveland, that's a must-win. Plus Johnny Manziel, that little douchebag's playing. He's starting this week. So we'll see what happens in this game. I'm not sure who I take there. I give the edge to Greg just because I've been beating Greg's bandwagon. I've been his biggest fan all year, so I'm going to stick with Greg here. Hopefully he'll win it for us. So, quick editor's note. I asked for if you guys could send me pictures or a family photo, either email it to me. I'll put it on the Flickr when I post the video. I'll put it on there where to email your thing to. And if you could do that, that would be great. I would appreciate it. And then just so I can put something together, because I think next week will most likely be the last podcast before the season. I may do a season wrap-up, but I got kind of crazy at work this time of year, so I think I may do one after we announce the champion of the league and all that. So if you could do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. Other than that, gentlemen, I will see you next week. Take care and be well.